Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're on a mission, a really crucial one, actually. We want to shortcut your path to sounding genuinely natural in English. So we're going to look past, the formal textbook lessons and dive straight into the phrases and the rhythms that keep conversations alive.
Yeah, we're talking about small talk. And for a lot of language learners, this is a huge source of anxiety.
Oh, absolutely.
They've got the grammar down, they can read complicated stuff, but then they step into a coffee shop or a break room at work and they just freeze up.
Or they default to that really stiff formal language that sort of builds a wall instead of a bridge.
Exactly. And our deep dive today is all about connection. We've got a great stack of materials showing that sounding friendly doesn't require, fancy verb tenses.
Right.
It just requires practical, everyday expressions. The goal is to get you from sounding a little bit robotic to sounding relaxed, approachable, and, well, alive.
The classic example is always, fine, thank you. I think we all know that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's technically correct, but what it really says is, I'm closing this conversation right now.
Yeah, it's a door slam. So we want to replace that with phrases that actually invite someone in.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. The foundation. Greetings.
Right. We all know, hi, how are you? It works, but it can feel a little automatic, can't it? Like something you say when you're already walking past someone.
It can, yeah. To sound genuinely friendly and ready to talk, you want to use language that's a bit quicker, a bit more rhythmic.
So what are we talking about?
Things like, hey, how's it going? Or, hi, how are things? The intonation is really key there. It has to sound like a real question.
And if it's someone you haven't seen for a while, something like, hey, long time no see. That has instant warmth.
It does. But the real work, the really heavy lifting, it starts with the response.
This is probably the most important part of the whole deep dive, right? Getting away from fine, thank you.
100%. That response is a dead end.
So what's the immediate, simple alternative that makes you sound like you actually want to have a conversation?
You lean into something positive but casual. I'm good, thanks, is great. Or the really common one, pretty good, how about you?
Always throwing it back to them.
Always. And if you're, not having a great day, you can still be honest but brief, like, not bad, just a little tired.
Okay, and this is where the analysis gets really interesting. It's not just the words you say,
Yeah.
but this little gift you give the other person.
Yes, the tiny detail. This is the conversational pivot point.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you just say, I'm good, thanks, the conversation stalls. But if you add, I'm good, thanks, had a really busy morning, though.
Oh, okay.
Now you've done two things. You've shared a little piece of your life and you've handed them a topic. They can now ask, oh, really? Why was it so busy?
Right. You've given them an easy job. It's that little bit of openness that signals, hey, I'm happy to talk.
Exactly. You're inviting an exchange, not just, reporting data.
So we've nailed the greeting and the response. But then that classic anxiety kicks in.
Yeah.
What do I actually talk about?
Right. I don't know them well enough to talk about my life story.
Exactly.
That's where you look around, the material all points to this. Your immediate environment is your best friend. Small talk is often environmental.
It's the safe zone. Talk about what's right there in front of you both.
Yep. The weather, the line for coffee, the class you just sat through. So you get these really casual examples like, this weather's crazy today, isn't it?
Or if you're at work, wow, the coffee line's long this morning. Or that meeting felt longer than usual, huh?
Perfect. They're short, they're simple observations, and anyone can agree with them.
And from that shared observation, you can move to what's probably the most powerful tool for starting a chat. The open question.
This is so important because it means the other person can't just give you a yes or a no.
You're forcing them to give you a little bit more.
You are. So instead of asking, is the food here good, which is a yes-no question,
You'd ask,
have you tried the food here before? Or even better, what do you think of the food here? A really simple all-purpose one is just, do you come here often?
and that question, it opens the door. But we still need to know how to walk through it. Which brings us to, I guess, the flow of the conversation itself.
Yes, section 2, the flow. Once you get an answer from someone, the absolute secret to sounding natural is the follow-up question.
This feels like the difference between actually listening and just waiting for your turn to talk.
It is. If your coworker says, I went camping last weekend, and you just reply, nice,
You've just killed it. You've ended their story and basically said you're not interested.
don't let the conversation die. Just show a little genuine interest. They mention camping, you immediately ask, oh yeah, which beach did you go to? Or was it crowded? Or even, did you go swimming?
These are simple questions. They don't require any complicated grammar, just curiosity.
And our sources give us some great little templates for this. How was it? What did you like about it? Would you do it again? They work almost anywhere.
It's that rhythm, isn't it? That constant, easy back and forth. It builds rapport.
Right. It says, I'm with you. I'm enjoying this.
And speaking of sounding engaged, let's talk about reaction phrases. This is where so many learners fall flat. They just stay silent while the other person is talking.
Yes. But a conversation is a shared performance. You can't just be a quiet audience member. These little sounds, these reaction phrases, they're what make you sound alive.
I don't think you can overstate how important these are. They're proof that you're actually listening in real time.
Totally. Think of them as linguistic exclamation points. If someone shares good news, you need a really or a that's awesome or no way.
So if I said, hey, I got that new job I applied for.
The automatic friendly response is, oh, wow, congratulations, that's awesome. You're mirroring their excitement.
And if you're silent or just nod, it just feels like you don't care.
It feels cold. And this connects directly to another tool, agreement phrases.
Okay, so these are about building that instant connection, creating a little we.
Exactly. They're short, they're powerful, simple things like, me too, same here, or my favorite, exactly.
So if someone says, ugh, I hate getting up early.
The perfect response is, same here, mornings are the worst. Instant bond.
Yeah, that shared feeling is everything. It's not about exchanging information. It's about making each other feel comfortable.
Which brings us to the final polish. The little techniques that make your English sound really seamless. Let's start with that awkward moment when a topic kind of fizzles out.
The dreaded silence. How do you pivot without it feeling really abrupt?
This is where you use a transition phrase. We really suggest you just memorize a few of these so they're ready to go.
Go to the best ones.
By the way is the all-time classic. It signals you're about to change the subject completely. Then you have speaking of, which connects the new topic to the old one.
Or, that reminds me.
Great one. So if we were talking about how mornings are the worst, you could say, speaking of mornings, have you tried that new cafe near the station?
Nice. It moves the conversation forward without hitting a stop sign.
Exactly. Or, before I forget, did you get those notes I sent? It's professional, but still smooth.
Now, what about the unspoken stuff? The material really emphasizes that small talk is about so much more than just the words.
Oh, absolutely. Your tone and your body language are huge. You could say the most perfect sentence, but if your face is blank and your voice is flat.
People will just back away slowly.
Right. Friendly English needs a friendly delivery. You have to smile. Use a warm tone. And this is a big one, don't rush your words.
When you sound relaxed, you make them feel relaxed. People remember how you made them feel, not how perfect your grammar was.
And that lets you lean into the natural rhythm of English, which relies so heavily on two things: contractions and softeners.
Let's start with contractions. Learners are often told to avoid them in writing, but in speech they are mandatory.
Completely mandatory. They create that smooth, flowing sound. Saying, I'm happy to meet you, sounds incredibly stiff.
So formal.
But I'm happy to meet you sounds like a real person. You've got to use I'm, your can't. The difference in how fluent you sound is just massive.
And then there are softeners, these little words like kind of, a bit, or sort of. Why are they so important?
Because culturally, English speakers use them to avoid sounding too direct or too aggressive. If you just say, I am tired, it's a very strong, flat statement.
Right.
But if you say, I'm kind of tired or I'm a bit tired, it sounds more humble, I guess, more casual.
I see. So if I say that movie was bad, it's very final. It sounds like an argument.
It does. But if you say that movie was sort of difficult to follow, it softens it. It invites them to share their opinion. It's not a fact. It's just your feeling.
That makes sense. It's about being open to dialogue, not shutting it down.
Precisely. Which leads to the next skill: how to disagree politely. Because you're not always going to agree with people, but you need to do it in a way that keeps the friendly vibe going.
The goal is never to say you're wrong.
Never. The goal is to say, I hear you, but I see it a little differently.
And what are the key phrases for that?
You always start with validation. I see what you mean, or that's an interesting point. Then you gently introduce your opinion. I'm not sure I totally agree, but I get where you're coming from.
Or even just, yeah, that's fair. I guess I think about it a little differently, though.
Perfect. You're respecting them first, then sharing your perspective. The connection stays strong.
Okay, so last but not least, the exit strategy. You can't just turn and walk away.
No, you need a polite, friendly way to signal that the conversation is ending.
And the sources have a great list of these. They all signal the end without making the other person feel like you're just ditching them.
Right, you usually state an action you need to take. Anyway, I should get going, or well, I've got to run. Then you add something positive about the chat.
Like, good catching up with you, or I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
And end with a simple, take care.
Yep.
So let's just model a quick ending. We've been chatting. I need to leave. I'd say, well, it was great talking to you, but I've actually got a meeting I have to get to.
And my friendly response would be, oh, no problem at all. See you around. Short, sweet, and it keeps the positive feeling right to the very end.
So after all that, what's the big picture for you, the listener? We've covered a ton of ground here.
The quick review is this. Use simple greetings. Add a small detail to your response. Ask open questions and follow-up questions. Use those little reaction phrases like, really, and no way to sound engaged.
And master those transition words like, by the way, and please. Use contractions and softeners like, kind of. Remember, fluency isn't about speed or big words. It's about making a warm connection.
Which brings up the big question of practice. How do you actually make these phrases automatic?
Yeah, so you're not just translating in your head.
The material offers a really brilliant practical tip. You have to build the muscle memory by saying the phrases out loud, even when you're alone.
Talk to yourself.
Yes, seriously. When you're making dinner, narrate what you're doing using these phrases. Say, this recipe is kind of tricky, or, by the way, I need to buy more salt. It feels weird at first, but it trains your brain to grab these expressions without thinking.
You're not memorizing a script, you're building a reflex.
And that leads us to our final thought for you this week. It's something to really chew on. People remember the conversation, not the grammar.
That's a good one.
If you focus on making a friendly, genuine connection, your English will already sound incredibly fluent, even with a few mistakes. The real goal is connection, not perfection.
So focus on being friendly and just enjoy the process. We really hope you try some of these expressions out this week. Start small, stay curious, and have fun speaking English in a way that sounds and feels alive.
Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.